So the worst kept secret in boxing, it's not even a secret, is now out of the bag. Well, we now have a date, a venue, and it is official. We are now going to get Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London on April the 26th, 2025. Now, we already knew both guys signed for this fight. We pretty much knew awaiting the announcement that this fight was done. This fight was done. I mean, like, for me, the fight is kind of alright, it's alright, it's happening. I was excited I was excited the first time it was announced 2 years ago, almost 3 now. I was excited, and then, all that transpired and everything, it just, it kind of wore off pretty quick. After that, it was just kind of like, well, do we really need to see this? Like, do we really need to? Why can't they go and, well, obviously Conor Benn had his own issues, but why can't Eubank Jr. after the win over Billam-Smith just go down the road of winning a world title or something? But no, all roads led back to this fight for both guys. I mean, they've literally done nothing in their respective careers since the fight other than Chris Eubank Jr. avenge and knockout defeat to Billam-Smith. So these guys are this is what they want to do. This is the fight they want. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn will headline the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is a great stadium. It looks very fun. A stadium fight, wow. It's a big upgrade because they were going to do it in the O2 originally the first time we got the fight week. They were going to do it in the O2. Now it's gone from the O2 Arena to a stadium. The really interesting thing is Turki Al-Sheikh has now announced the undercard. The card will be named after the upcoming new game, Fatal Fury City of Wolves. All right. So that's the name of the card. Interesting. Let's talk about the undercard. So it's been announced. It has Viddal Riley versus Chev Clark. I'm going to leave the co-main event, or certainly it's below the main event on this. I'm going to leave that till last. And I'm going to do a separate video on it because it's a joke of a fight. It's a joke. Viddal Riley versus Chev Clark. Now, that's not a joke of a fight. It's not a joke of a fight. It's a decent fight. It's a decent scrap. Viddal Riley was meant to be in action next week against Isaac Chamberlain. Chamberlain's pulled out with a shoulder injury, so that fight has been... Now it's gone. It's dead in the water. Chev Clark is altogether interesting because, look, I've said it before, I've never really been mad impressed with Viddal Riley. He's never really... I've never looked at him and thought, yeah, this guy's going to go somewhere. I thought he could probably do something at domestic level, but that's probably kind of it, maybe European, etc. Now, Chamberlain is a good technical boxer. He's not really a big puncher. And at cruiserweight, he's not the biggest cruiserweight in the world. He's in a very unfortunate place where he's stuck between cruiser and light heavy. He's not really big enough to impose himself on these cruiserweights, and he's not got the punching power, but at the same time, looking at his frame and everything, he could never make safely 175 pounds. So he is a tough night's work for anybody, but he's normally found wanted when he's really stepped up. Now, Chev Clark is a fighter. He's actually older than Chamberlain, Chev Clark. He's in his mid-30s now. And he's coming on the back of a loss as well. So, I mean, he really has to... He can't afford, to come back and have, rehab fight or anything. He has to go straight, make hay while the sun shines. Now, Chev Clark, again, is a fighter I've looked at and thought, meh. There's never really anything crazy about him that looked, mega. He's been dropped. He doesn't seem to have the best gas tank, but he's very physically strong. He's a much, much more imposing, bigger character than Chamberlain. Much, much more. And he can punch a little bit. So that is an interesting fight, I'm not going to lie. Chris Billam-Smith will return to the ring against Brandon Glatton. Now, I have to say, I have no idea who that is. Brandon Glatton. Let's have a little look-see at his box rec, because genuinely, I have never heard of him. I truthfully have never heard of him. And box rec, he is 20-2. He's American. 85% knockout, which is pretty good. He has a record of 20 wins, 2 defeats, 17 knockouts, 32 years old, 5'11", so it's very seldom you see cruiserweights sub 6 foot. It's very seldom, there's very few. And he's from Riverside, California. Who has he been in there with? He lost to David Light back in 2022. He lost a split decision though. Light was down in round 10, so I would say I didn't see the fight. A split decision normally implies could have went either way normally. He also lost to a fighter here, Solan Azhabov, I think is how you say that guy's name, who was 4-0 from Russia. He actually, well, he did fight subsequently after that. He fought Alex Papin and actually beat Alex Papin, but that was overturned as he failed a test. Whoa, a 6-year suspension. They don't play around over there. That's what it says on BoxRec here. They're the two guys he's lost to. I recognize this guy. Who he beat. That Chev Clark actually fought him as well. That Ektabar Apache went in with him, won a split decision win over him actually. So I don't know, nothing to write home about. Larry Pryor, his name rings a bell. The rest of the guys on his resume does not ring any bells whatsoever. So all right, there is that. That's CBS's fight. Lyndon versus Aaron McKenna. That'll be a good little scrap, to be fair. Lyndon not had a fight since the loss to Chris Eubank Jr. He was stopped in that fight, took a fair old beating. He's back in there against Aaron McKenna, young fighter, based out of America, but from Monaghan, just on the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic. It's not really Ireland, really, but he's more north. So 25 years old. Yeah, interesting character. I think I've seen it. I think I have probably seen a couple of his fights, but I can't say anything's jumped out at me about him. And then the last fight that's been announced. Anthony Yarde is back. Lyndon Arthurs. The trilogy fight that no one asked for, no one wanted. They really are scraping the bottom of it. And this is no knock at Lyndon Arthurs. I'm not trying to have a go with him. Money is money. It's a big payday. He has looked shocking in his last couple of fights. He's looked shocking. He's looked washed to bits. He barely scraped through Liam Cameron. He got beat up by Dimitri Bivol. Wasn't really competitive in that fight. Had a come from behind knockout win in the prior fight. He's just not looked himself. Even the fight before, he's just not looked himself. And Anthony Yarde, who, he only had 12 amateur fights. Man's in his mid-30s, for God's sake. He's literally done nothing in his career. He's in his mid-30s, and the best you can come up with, the best you can do for him at this stage of his career is just rinse and repeat a guy who's already beaten him once, and then Anthony Yarde avenge that loss next time. That's it. That's literally it. So his fight on this is his best win. So his best win will be twice over. This is a joke. And this is a guy talking about wanting to go for world titles, wanting to do this. It's a joke. What the hell? You were with a promoter who would have put you at the forefront of Riyadh season. You could have been making mega money. Instead, you ended up fighting on the Copper Box Arena, co-main to an unknown fighter and nearly losing. And now you're going and you're fighting a guy who you've already fought, and it's nearly 4 years since you had the last fight, and you beat him handily that time. What the honestly, I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, I'll do a separate video on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe as always if you haven't already. And until next time, people, I will leave it there. Peace.